All right, Robert Rostick.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, sir.
Uh, Raising Unmanageables.
And by the way, good morning, everybody. And welcome to our weekly podcast, videocast talk about raising unmanageables. And exactly what is it, raising unmanageables, and who is it for?
Yep, I was about to do all that.
Yeah. And I did it anyway.
You did it anyway.
Right.
Anyway, so this is Raising Unmanageables, and we created this podcast uh, not just for ourselves, but for the people out in the world who are creative-minded
Yes.
people,
Mhm.
to have a place for to be able to come to a place every week to join in on this conversation with people who are like them in most respects, right? Whether it be from a financial standpoint, whether it be I'm just starting out standpoint in my career, I'm shifting gears in my career, wherever you are in your career as a creative thinker or as a outlier inside of your space.
Mhm.
This is why Raising Unmanageables is created. So and the reason I wanted to make sure that we kind of got back to the roots of this thing and reiterate this is because on a couple of occasions, from Larry Matt's perspective and my perspective yesterday, I had people asking,
Mhm.
what is it? Every time I tune into what your show is,
Mhm.
you're just into the whole thing, and there's no
And
explanation.
we're talking
right?
about what we're talking about.
Right.
So now is a good time to actually explain what we're about
Right.
and who we are and such. I get it.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Mhm.
And I think we'll work towards some kind of a positioning statement or some way to sum it all up. That way, it's always out in front and center for people to know what it is beforehand. But right now, I just want to take this time to just talk about some of the reasons why we're here,
Mhm.
some of the reasons why the people who are watching us are watching, and Larry Mack and Mason Guerin, why are we here?
Well, before we get to why are we here, how the name Raising Unmanageable, where did that all come from?
So the Unmanageables name came from a situation that I was in a couple years ago now, where I got laid off from my job or
Right.
fired, whichever one it was. And months later, I never knew why. And my career director called me back later,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Hey man, I feel bad about letting you go and you not really knowing why."
Yeah,
So,
which rarely happens.
which rarely happens.
Yeah.
You know, fortunately at the time we were friends.
Uh-huh.
So we are friends. So it wasn't a hard conversation to have.
Gotcha.
So he called me out to his house. We had dinner, hung out, and we sat down and we just talked about that whole series of events leading up to it. Long story short, the reason I got fired from that job or laid off from that job was because his boss,
Mhm.
his immediate supervisor, told him that Bevo is unmanageable,
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
which meant that it wasn't that I was bad at my job
Mhm.
or that I wasn't doing my job.
Gotcha.
It was that I saw a way that things needed to be done,
Mhm.
and I was doing them that way
Correct.
to
Yeah.
get them accomplished, and it wasn't the way that they wanted me to do them to achieve the same goal.
Henceforth, where I'm going with this is that creative people generally have a problem with management.
Right.
Because management is a corporate
It
environment.
is a corporate environment.
Creative is a mindset of making things happen
Yep.
where they don't actually happen.
Right.
So I can see the clash in that. And the same thing similar happened in the same thing. It can be the same thing and similar, but a similar thing happened for me is that I would bring my portfolio out, and people would say, "Hey, this is really good work, really good stuff," but and I'm going like, I know what the deal is. I'm going to be hard to control.
Right.
That's the deal.
Mhm,
I'm going
mhm.
to be hard. And in a sense, they were saying I'm unmanageable.
Right. You're not going to be able to fit into whatever system that they've created to make their company run. You're not going to be able to fit into that. And I've had that happen a couple times to me before, just looking for different jobs. I even went out for a photography job one time that you and I talked about, and that was almost their explanation as to why I didn't get the job. They felt as though as soon as I figured out a better way to perform, I was either going to do it at their place or leave and go somewhere else. So but it's not really about being rebellious,
No,
and it's
not at
not
all,
being,
not at all.
it's not about being like fighting against the system.
No.
It's really just, we all have this inherent need to just solve problems all the time.
And the thing about it is that some of us in the workplace don't really belong in that workplace.
Right.
We belong going at it alone. And because the longer we're in a particular environment, doing things under a certain type of management where it doesn't foster creativity
Right.
and growth in the creative mindset, we are going to get frustrated and end up doing the company that we're working for a disservice.
Yeah.
So we recognizing that you are unmanageable, then that may be the time to take that leap.
Right.
Because when you're out on your own, you're managing yourself. And when you're managing yourself, you can be as creative as possible.
Right.
And find new ways and new innovations that are going to, in turn, help that company, but not in a direct one-on-one way, but as a contractor or freelancer and such.
Right. And that's how that's the roots of this podcast. Was you and I have been trying to collaborate on a job for 14 years.
Yes.
And I've never leading up to this point, I haven't been in a position to be able to facilitate that from someone else's standpoint, because I was at someone else's job. They get to make the decision on who the photographer is going to be. That wasn't my decision. So the basis of why we're here doing this today was because we needed to solve a problem that we created for ourselves 14 years ago, of let's do some work together.
And guess what? This is number 28.
Episode 28 of Raising
28
Unmanageables.
weeks of working together
Absolutely.
and doing this Unmanageable podcast video cast.
I thought it was because you both are creatives and have been freelancing or running your own businesses and have a wealth of knowledge to tell other creatives.
Well,
That's what I
No,
thought.
right.
And that is
The whole point of this. Right.
Right. So, but like, I think from a ego perspective, yes, right? Like, we have some information and we want to put it out into the world and have that conversation.
That's the sum of it.
Right.
So when the whole point is that if you're in an environment and you're working for someone and you feel as though you're being stifled, then we're saying on this end how to manage that, how to work in that environment.
Yeah.
And also, if you decide that you want to work out on your own,
Right.
then we want to offer some advice to that as well, because we've both been out on our own because nobody will hire us.
Right.
That's always been my understanding. From the very first moment I came on set, I kind of had the understanding that this whole podcast was for creatives, to help new creatives and business, and the older as well, who are a little more experienced, kind of round themselves off better, based on what they already do or don't know.
Right. And I think essentially, yes, that's exactly what it is. That is the purpose, right? But who wants to run around saying, I have all the answers, tune into my shit every Tuesday, right? Because sometimes we're rolling up in here with none of the answers, and it's really just our life experiences that we're putting outward. So we're overcoming a lot of things at the same time of being able to help other people, hopefully helping other people at the same time. So it is like, I got some things that I know about, and you might just be starting out, and yeah, here you go. Here's the information for that.
And the information is not the solution, but it's a start.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It's a base.
I don't think it's absolutely that you, I mean, you definitely have a lot of answers, but I think that all creatives can relate to your stories and your experiences. And I think that once a week, no matter if you're a painter, a photographer, or writer, you can tune in and go, oh yeah,
Right.
that does help, or oh, I've never thought of it that
Right.
way. And it's not like you have it's absolute answers
Right.
for every situation.
Right. And it's not, it is kind of it's definitely for creatives, but it's a blanketed kind of, if you fit into this realm, you might encounter some of these situations. You might be a mom at home who is cleaning the house or preparing the kids' room or working on a painting that you don't think is working on art that you don't think is ready to be put out into the world yet. And why we're here is to tell you to go ahead and put it out, and
Absolutely.
encourage you to put it out and to start that conversation with us, so that we can talk about it and encourage other people to talk about it and to stay tuned as well. So
And also realize that you're not there to fit into a mold.
right. No.
And now, because you are creative, and because you're creative, that mold will not fit you.
Right.
And so, in that instance, we're giving you, at least from our experience, a license to say, hey, go out there, explore,
Yep.
be adventurous,
Yep.
and be creative, however way that is.
Right. And if you have the luxury to tune into this at 11:30, you're probably in a position where you're already an unmanageable person.
Yeah, you're sitting on that couch right there.
Right.
That's-
No, like you probably have a job situation or a business situation that affords you to be able to watch this at this time.
That's why they're me. You're sitting on the couch
right.
and being comfortable and watching
Right.
these two guys,
Right.
two bearded guys. Mine is a little bit better today
Yeah,
than yours,
Oh, it's cool.
but that's okay.
It's cool. It's cool.
Either way,
But
we're still unmanageable.
I think,
and it just aside from that,
Right.
is that the part about raising unmanageables is that we are here as somewhat of a guide
Right.
to let you guys know that are coming up
Mm-hmm.
into this particular business, into the business world of it, some steps to that you might want to avoid and some things that you might want to explore.
right.
So that's the raising unmanageable part
And
of
to
it.
kind of just add on to that raising part, it's not about being a youth or a young person
No, not at
that
all.
we're trying to encourage or nourish the mindset of, I have a skill set that 1,000, 10,000, 100,000 other people may have, but they don't have this skill set in the way that I have it.
Mhm.
And I should put it out at least to see what happens, and just run at it for a little while and make your way through the whole thing. And it's hard,
Sure.
and it drives you crazy. And at first, your friends listen and your parents listen, and everyone thinks like they encourage you to keep going. And after a while, they think you're crazy because like you continue down this path of living your dream and staying focused on the things that you want to happen for yourself. And then you realize that you got to go back out and get another group of people to support you and emotionally and financially and all these things as you make your way. But this is the whole process, is we're going through a lot of these things at the same time.
Here's-
We're not sitting here looking downwards. It's definitely, it's a round table right now.
Oh, it's absolutely a round table. Here's the thing that I think we should probably take away from some of this is that the problem of business and art or any form is finding your audience. It's not your product.
Right,
It's finding that audience that is interested in your product.
right,
So that's why we do this every week. We're looking for people out there who are in the process of managing their own business, or they're in a business and they want to grow. So we want that particular audience to know that, to come here on every week and find some info. Find something that is going to give you that nugget that's going to sustain you throughout the following week.
Right. And this is absolutely, this is the push, I think, for a lot of creative. This isn't the solution. It's the push. It's like, keep listening, because we're something's going to come. Something's coming every episode that helps someone click and at least start something small, medium, big, whatever it is. This is just that push to say, you know what, you can do this, because there's other people in that same situation as you, or I've been in that situation with a lot of people where it's scary to leave your job because you got kids and you got bills to pay. And to that respect, you know, at the time, I didn't want to leave my job because I was like, I got kids, I got bills to pay. But when I got laid off, I had zero choice. And I didn't have a nest egg, because at the time I was just comfortable with working. I wasn't saving and putting things away. But beside the point, I wasn't prepared for this. But I jumped into it.
Sure.
Because that was the only option past that point.
When you don't have an option, then you have to be creative.
Right.
And so however way it is to get you started, we just want you to know you're not alone.
You're not alone.
Not alone, and we're out there with you, for you, and in your corner.
Right. And we're here, like, we're local too, right? Now for people who are local in the Tampa Bay area, we're right here. So we're like not easy to or not hard to get a hold of. So
Glad you brought that up. That was I was listening to you guys, and I was like, you're a community. You're there to make people know that they're not alone.
Yeah.
And that you've gone through the same thing.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I think that's just so important, especially for creatives, especially for people who are running after their dreams. It's huge to be like, you're not crazy. It's going to be okay. It's going to figure itself out. And
it will. And all you have to do really is figure out where you are and how much time you can commit to yourself. Even if you have a job and you can't leave that job because you just, in your mind, you just can't leave that job right now, but you want to eventually, you have to find a space in your day, in your life, to be able to commit towards yourself. If it's an hour, if it's 2 hours, if it's 5 hours a week, an hour a day, find that time to almost quite literally just put savings in the bank, which is yourself, and invest in yourself.
You always have to pay yourself first, which means be creative, do for yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I find, though, with a lot of creatives that I've come across, is that they are into the equipment thing. And I know we're segueing into something slightly different.
No, because I like this.
They're into the equipment thing, is that if I buy this particular equipment, or if I buy this particular brush, or if I get this particular pen, it's going to make me write better. It's going to make me see better. It's going to make me do better. And the problem is that 10 minutes after you get that piece of equipment, you realize that it is you that has to be the one to do the creating.
Yes.
And that that just kills me. Kills me to know. Wait a minute, did we just have a come to Unmanageables moment?
We just had a come to Unmanageables moment.
Oh, man.
I think Jesus left us to our own devices on that one. Yeah. We will be passing the tithe and pot around, so just in case you haven't put those in. But you know, like, I get what you're saying, because I talk to my family all the time about this. I talk to close friends about it, and people say, hey, you know, I'm waiting to get this until I can do this. And I said, here's a secret that I had to learn, very, very rough, tough, hard secret, is, this is the only tip I can give you that's absolute. If you're not already in the mindset of getting things done, it doesn't matter how many tools you have. Once you get them, you still will not get anything done.
Absolutely. Because
you are already programmed not to do anything. And if you can get done leaps and bounds of projects and thinking and work done, if you can get a lot of work done on a little bit, then once you get all of the things that you need, you can do way more. That's when you start moving forward.
And it's because you're doing. Right. You're not doing it, and you're not, rather than waiting on something to make things happen or make things right. If if it's like you need to learn a particular program, if you need to do that,
Sure.
then spend an hour
Mhm.
or find someone to help you
Mhm.
and get started on it. Don't wait to do it. But you can come to TRG training and get it done a lot faster. That was a sneaky promo.
That was a selfish
that was
plug.
just-
Selfish plug.
That was
Shameless plug.
dumb.
Shameless plug.
But you can come, by the way, if you want.
And you know, but that is part of investing, is like finding, if you can't do it yourself and you're not sometimes a self-motivated person. Some people can't go to the gym by themselves. They need a buddy to go because they need somebody else to hold them accountable. So you're absolutely right. Like coming here is almost like accountability.
Yes.
Right? And that's a part of my business as well.
Oh, that's a second plug. Did you hear that one?
That's a part of my business as well, is that a part of it is we're holding each other accountable, right? So they're looking to me to if I don't have the answers immediately, to find answers for them and to provide solutions for them. And at the same time, what I need from my clients is to make sure that they're just answering questions, that we can jump on the phone and I can extract as much as I need to know from week to week about them to be able to do my job. So we hold each other's feet to the fire that way, you know? So, and that's what paying for that type of service does. Right. So you're not paying someone to work for you for an hour. You're not getting a photographer for an hour. You're getting, this is how things get done, and I'm going to stand by you and help you get them done.
And not only help you get them done, but make you get them done.
Right, because that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
So I think to wrap everything up, raising unmanageables in our infancy stage right now is here to have all these conversations with people.
Sure.
To create an environment or a community where people know that there's these two guys that they can use as a resource, maybe to get plugged into somewhere else or to figure out where their next step should be. And where we're looking to go in the future is we don't have enough time to even talk about those type of plans, but like, I can't imagine where we're going to be this time next year, doing the same thing. And all we really need, the best Christmas present we can get right now, I think, is for anybody who is watching, anybody who listens, anybody who tunes in now or later, is share with your friends. Share these experiences with your friends. Bring them to the page. Hit the button. That way we can keep doing this, and we have a more of a context for what type of situations people want to hear about, talk about, know about.
And if you do have some topics that you'd like to know about, please chime in. Hit us up.
Absolutely. Send us a message. And so, yeah, look out for the recap either later today or tomorrow. I'm depending on how fast I edit that stuff, but it's coming. But yeah, so that's the part we really appreciate. We like leading up to this point, coming towards the end of the year. I'm really grateful that we've got this far, and we have 100 some odd followers, right? In retrospect, that's not like a ton, but it's a lot of people that we weren't normally communicating with on a weekly basis in the first place. So it's way more people that can fit in this room. So we start there and we keep having these conversations, and y'all keep tuning in.
And we really do appreciate your time that you're giving us. And stay tuned for more. But keep those comments coming, keep those suggestions coming, and you keep coming here as well.
Absolutely. And with that being said, this is episode 28 of Raising Unmanageables. Thank you for tuning in.
I'm Robert Rostick.
And I'm Bevo.
And we have on our set, we have Mason and
Larry Mack.
Larry Mack, that's me.
He's back there in the background.
So
appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you.